Yes, sad but true. The price of used cars is again starting to creep up again. It turns out that the average used car price is now $31,624. Expensive used cars, right? It was going down for a while. It was under 30, way under 30. Now, and that's too much as far as I'm concerned, you know. I usually buy good used cars for $3 grand, $5 grand, whatever.
I just spoke with 3 major dealership owners who admitted something shocking off the record. They're preparing for a massive inventory flood and price collapse within the next 6 months. They're quietly canceling orders and offering unprecedented deals to clear their lots before the crash hits. This isn't just speculation, it's backed by manufacturing data, economic trends, and insider information that we've spent months compiling. I'll break down exactly when prices will drop, which car segments will crash first, and how you can position yourself to save up to 30% on your next vehicle.
Now they're going back up again. Inflation keeps going, and of course it has been going. Nobody stopped this inflation.
Used vehicles were actually increasing for about 2 years, which we've never seen anything like that for the market.
We like new cars. We just like being in a brand new car. And it's not brand new once you take it off the lot.
Kind of a messy part of how we do things, because we can't go back and see what the average transaction price is, but we know historically what MSRP is on a year, make, model combination, and so we can go see the value of that car against its original MSRP.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Remember when buying a car was actually affordable? The average new car now costs over $48,000. That's more than many Americans make in an entire year. We're living in unprecedented times for the automotive market, and today I'm breaking down exactly how we got here. 3 major factors created the perfect storm that sent car prices soaring to record highs. First, supply chain disruptions crippled manufacturing capabilities worldwide. Second, the chip shortage brought production lines to a crawl. And third, dealer markups turned an already difficult situation into a nightmare for consumers. Let's talk about those markups for a moment. While automakers struggled to meet demand, dealerships saw an opportunity to maximize profits through what they cleverly termed market adjustments. These weren't small inconveniences. We're talking about $5,000 to $15,000 added on top of the manufacturer's suggested retail price. A Florida Cadillac dealership recently slapped a $10,000 markup on a 2024 Escalade Sport Platinum, while another dealer added $5,000 to a 2025 BMW X5. These weren't isolated incidents. This became standard practice across the country. I recently spoke with James from Phoenix, who shared his car buying nightmare. After months of searching for a Ford Bronco, he finally found one at a dealership 3 states away. The catch? A $12,500 market adjustment fee that wasn't negotiable. James ultimately paid nearly $15,000 over MSRP and waited 7 months for delivery. His story isn't unique. Thousands of Americans face similar situations. The numbers tell a shocking story about just how severe the vehicle shortage became. During the pandemic, automakers built approximately 8 million fewer cars than they would have under normal circumstances in 2021 and 2022 alone. This wasn't just a minor production hiccup. It represented a fundamental reshaping of the automotive marketplace that created artificial scarcity and drove prices to unprecedented heights. While consumers struggled with high prices, banks and finance companies enabled the situation by extending loan terms to lengths that would have been unthinkable just a decade ago. 72 and 84-month loans became commonplace, allowing dealers to mask the true impact of inflated prices by focusing on affordable monthly payments rather than the total cost of ownership. But here's where things went from bad to worse for consumers. As the Federal Reserve battled inflation with aggressive interest rate hikes, the cost of financing these already expensive vehicles skyrocketed. By January 2023, average interest rates for new vehicle loans hit 6.79%, a staggering 264 basis points higher than the the previous year. For perspective, finance experts estimate that every 100 basis point increase translates to approximately $20 more per month on an average $45,000 loan over 72 months. Do the math and you'll see why monthly payments became completely unmanageable for many Americans. This created an economic pressure cooker that simply couldn't sustain itself. When the average new car payment exceeds what many Americans pay for rent or mortgage, something has to give. The automotive market found itself in a fundamentally unsustainable position where consumers were being asked to allocate an ever-increasing percentage of their income toward transportation. The first cracks in this inflated market are already appearing. The enthusiast segment is experiencing the most visible corrections, with vehicles like the Shelby GT 500 Mustang seeing price drops of around $20,000. What was once selling for $125,000 is now available for closer to $96,000. Still expensive, but a dramatic reduction that signals where the broader market is heading. Major manufacturers aren't waiting for a total collapse before taking action. Toyota, Ford, and Hyundai have begun implementing significant discounts across their lineups, with some models seeing price reductions of 8 to 12% from their pandemic peaks. These aren't small adjustments. We're talking about thousands of dollars in savings that are finally bringing vehicles back into the realm of affordability for average consumers. Ford has been particularly aggressive with incentives on their F-150 lineup, offering up to $5,500 in rebates on certain configurations. Toyota has quietly increased dealer incentives on slow-selling sedans, allowing for negotiation room that simply didn't exist a year ago. Hyundai and Kia, after enjoying record profits during the shortage, have reversed course with employee pricing promotions and interest rate buy-downs to stimulate sales. Those manufacturer incentives aren't acts of generosity, they're panic buttons being pressed by an industry seeing all 5 warning signs of an imminent price collapse. With repossession rates surging 23% and wholesale auction prices plummeting at nearly 6 times the normal rate, we're witnessing the early stages of a market correction that could rival the housing crash of 2008. Let's look at the first warning sign flashing red across the automotive industry. Dealership inventory levels have skyrocketed by 51% compared to last year. According to Kelley Blue Book, this dramatic inventory buildup is creating massive pressure on dealers who now have too many cars and not enough buyers. While we're not quite back to pre-pandemic levels, the industry is now sitting on 76 days worth of unsold vehicles, a stark contrast to the empty lots we saw during the height of the shortage. This oversupply means one thing for consumers: downward pressure on prices is building by the day. The second warning sign is equally concerning. Consumer sentiment has weakened substantially. Major automakers are reporting slumping sales as potential buyers grow increasingly hesitant to pull the trigger. Why? Economic uncertainty combined with sky-high prices has many Americans questioning whether now is the right time to make such a large purchase. Perhaps more telling is that many consumers are deliberately waiting for better deals. As CarEdge points out, savvy shoppers are holding out for the inevitable price drops, with December 2024 projected to bring some of the biggest discounts we've seen in years. Perhaps the most alarming indicator is the third warning sign. Auto loan delinquencies are climbing at a pace that should concern everyone. According to J.C. Whitney, vehicle repossessions have surged by 23% compared to last year. Families are increasingly forced to choose between making car payments and covering essential expenses like housing and food. The situation is particularly dire when you consider that 1 in 5 car owners is now underwater on their loan, owing at least $10,000 more than their vehicle is actually worth. This toxic combination of negative equity and rising defaults creates a dangerous cycle that accelerates price declines. The fourth warning sign is hiding in plain sight. Manufacturer incentives are making a dramatic comeback. After years of scarce discounts, automakers are now spending big to move metal. Kelley Blue Book analysts report that car makers are allocating 6.3% of transaction prices, or about $3,121 per vehicle, to incentives. That's a whopping 29% increase from last year. While these incentives might look like small rebates or favorable financing terms to consumers, they represent a significant shift in strategy for manufacturers who are scrambling to maintain sales momentum in a cooling market. The fifth and perhaps most dramatic warning sign is what's happening in the used car market, which often forecasts where new car prices are heading. Hot Cars reports that retail used car values took a dramatic dive over November and December 2023, with wholesale auction prices dropping by 5.47% in a single month. That decline is occurring at 5 to 6 times the normal rate for many vehicle segments. Compact vans have been hit particularly hard, with prices plummeting nearly 14%. 20%. These aren't small adjustments. They're early indicators of a potential market collapse. The parallels to the 2008 housing crisis are difficult to ignore. Just as we saw with homes before the crash, we now have an automotive market characterized by overextended buyers, rising inventory, declining consumer confidence, increasing defaults, and rapidly falling asset values. The dynamics are frighteningly similar, but what's driving this rapid depreciation in the used market specifically? It's a perfect storm of factors converging simultaneously. Lease returns that were delayed during the pandemic are now flooding auction lots. Rental car companies, facing their own financial pressures, are downsizing fleets and dumping vehicles into the wholesale market. Meanwhile, consumers who stretch their budgets for luxury vehicles are now trading down to more affordable options, creating additional supply pressure in the upper segments of the market. The signs are unmistakable for anyone paying attention. We're not just seeing a minor adjustment in car prices, we're witnessing the early stages of a significant market correction that will gather momentum throughout the coming year. For consumers, the message is clear. The bargaining power that vanished during the pandemic is now swinging rapidly back in your favor. So we've seen all the warning signs, and now I'm going to tell you something industry insiders are seeing clearly. Car prices are about to crash. Expert Zach Shefska from CarEdge didn't mince words when he stated car prices are going to crash in 2025, with predictions of 3 to 5% drops in new car prices by year's end. For used vehicles, the picture is even more dramatic. JP Morgan research forecasts a roughly 10% decrease in used car prices. And if you're eyeing compact vans, compact cars, full-size pickups, or luxury SUVs, you're in luck. These segments are experiencing the fastest inventory buildup and steepest price decline.